Hi everyone, it's Roger here from What's on Disney Plus, and welcome to this week's live Q&A. So big hello and welcome to everyone joining either live or also on the catch-up. So each and every week I answer questions from my YouTube channel members and YouTube patrons as well. And this week I'm going to do something a little bit different, but I'll talk about that in a minute. So I'll be answering questions from Patreon and YouTube channel members and anyone that supports it. So you can support the channel in a number of different ways. You can become a Patreon. You can also use the super chat function, and if you do use the super chat function today, your question will go to the top of the queue to be answered next. And also you can now, I'm going to be trying something a little bit different with the live chat today. So I've opened it up to all subscribers. You have to be a subscriber for about 20 minutes. That's just there just to kind of make sure anyone that just drops in, you know, they at least have to wait 20 minutes to get in if they're not a member. But you can also use the gifting option as well. This is something that's brand new that I've not really used before. So what I'll be doing is I'm going to be primarily focusing on YouTube channel members. But if there are any other cool questions and stuff that come up, and as I said, super chats will get the cool, great thing. And also if you gift any memberships as well, I'll be able to see that as well. So just trying something a little bit different with the live chat today. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on it, seeing what's going on. Any kind of messing about or anything like that, I will just kick you out. That's just, again, a little bit of an experiment today. So we've got lots and lots of questions to jump into. So we're going to kick off with what was the top question. So a lot of the Patreon and YouTube channel members have been able to submit questions in advance. So something that isn't going to be changing. This is just, I'm just trying something a little bit different with the Q&A this week. So Mahmoud asks, what do you think of Hulu cancelling the Buffy revival, and why Disney keep announcing continuation of popular series of movies only to cancel them after getting fans excited? So let's break this down into two things. So over the weekend, it was revealed that the Buffy the Vampire Slayer kind of revival slash reboot, because it's going to have a new Slayer, but Sarah Michelle Gellar was going to be returning as Buffy. So it was a continuation, a little bit like Scrubs, but it's going to have a new heart. So they filmed a pilot, and 20th Television were making it. Chloe Zhao, who you might know as the director of like No Man Land, I think Hamnet, and also Eternals, she was the director and kind of was the reason why this whole revival came about. So Sarah Michelle Gellar was returning as Buffy. They were going to film it. They filmed the pilot, but on consideration this week, Hulu has decided not to continue with the project, and they are not moving forward with it. Apparently they are looking to, maybe they were trying to work out ways of retooling it, but they decided not to. That doesn't necessarily mean Buffy won't return in the future. They might come back to it and look at this. But the current version that they brought out for this pilot is not going ahead. So that's the thing. And I think it is important to note a couple of things here. First off, it is a pilot. Now, the point of the pilot is to allow Disney and any other studios to create basically create a show, a kind of a tester, see if executives like it, see if maybe test audience likes it, and basically do a little bit of a test, see if it works, see if it doesn't, see if they have to make any creative changes, any actor changes. And very likely that we might not have even seen that one, because if it was like, okay, maybe they decided this isn't quite right, we need to refilm some stuff for the first show. So it definitely kind of, the big thing I think with a pilot is it is there as a test. It is not supposed to be, it's not a given. That's the point of it. It wasn't given a straight to series order. It was given a pilot. So on that note, I would rather Disney was like, no, we are making a pilot. It didn't go the way we wanted to. It's not good enough, so therefore we're not going to continue with it. That's what I want them to do. I don't. The whole problem of sending things to the series to order is if there's problems, sometimes they're too deep into it before they can kind of realize it. Next thing about the whole thing about Disney announcing it, I don't think Disney actually ever officially announced it. I can't find a single press release of them ever saying they were doing this. So Disney have actually never really come out and say it. The problem was, I think, obviously, word got out through like the trades. You had like Sarah Michelle Gellar, and they were teasing it, which it was in their interest. Remember, they are actors; they're paid to do it. She is trying to encourage the fan interest, so in order to make this project to happen, in order for her to get more money. And that's, you do have to kind of consider that actors and stuff sometimes can try to manipulate people and fans because they want to make the project happen, and therefore they get paid. So I don't really I think the emphasis here is I don't think people understand the concept of pilot. The pilot is a test. It is an experiment to see if it works. We might never have seen it. They might have retooled it and decided to do something else with it. But pilots are there for us, for the studios to go, no, that's not quite right. Let's get rid of it. So I don't think it's a problem. I'd rather they were like, no, it's not good enough, we're not moving forward with it, than just keep going on it. Well, we've told everyone about it. Yes, in an ideal world, they probably shouldn't have told everyone about it, but word would have got out anyway. I do think it's a bit difficult maybe for Sarah Michelle Gellar. As everyone's asking about it and constantly, she kind of needs to address it. I just think a lot of people misunderstood the concept. They kind of thought a pilot was almost like a given. It was like a given that this show was coming back. And I don't know. I think this is the big problem with them doing all these revivals and reboots is people hear stuff, and I don't think often they can match up to it. But let's jump now. I'm just going to have a look and see if we've got any. So I did do a poll at the minute. 77% of you think you would have watched the Buffy reboot. Now, I was a big fan of the original series. I used to watch it when after Neighbours and Home Away. It used to be on like 6 o'clock. It was a big show back when it was in the 90s. I'm just going to try and keep on the topic of Buffy. Tita said, oh no, hope it's not cancelled. Yes, this would be a perfect series to release around Halloween, as long as they get a job and it's not as good. So yeah, so apparently it is not going to be happening. Caleb says, to answer the question of the headline, I believe the pilot was filmed and didn't see eye to eye on the proceed with the series. Oh, that's interesting. The thing is, I do wonder sometimes with these creations of where fans, like the actresses and stuff, of maybe in their head the story's evolved in a different way to an executive. We'll do that one in a minute. Again, I'm just going to try and keep on the topic of Buffy. Bobatronic says, to answer the question, I think it's a good thing that it was cancelled because I don't think it would have had a lot of new viewers. I would like to do something new and fresh. I would have rather they just went and did, we're going to bring back Buffy, but we're starting from scratch. I think that would have been better. Just checking there. Okay, so that sums up that. So next question comes from Miles. Thank you so much for your super chat. Thank you for your continued support, especially being a member as well. You said, since Pixar's latest original film has topped the box office for 2 consecutive weeks, how does this bode well for Disney's upcoming Hext? I think this is a good sign. I think this is a sign that there is an interest in original programming. I think it does depend on the advertising and the marketing. I think obviously we know very, 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 very little about Hext. I think we know the logo. That's about it. So, and I don't think they should really kind of give us, maybe we get a teaser for it this week, because we've got a shareholder thing and they put out the teaser trailer to go alongside Toy Story. But yeah, I think this is good. The trouble is, again, original and kids movies, they kind of either click or they don't. And sometimes there's a little bit of a push and pull on it. Yeah, I'm hoping that it will be really good to see that happen, but it would be nice. But yeah, I'd love to know, do you think it's a good move? I definitely think it's something that we should be aware of. Continuing on with some of the questions, Caleb asked, Sarah Michelle Gellar announced on her Instagram that the revival won't be moving forward. Do you think this is for the best? As I just said, totally do. I think this is the best move. I wasn't really keen on the idea anyway. I thought it was about time, if they are going to reboot it, bring it back with a brand new version. Keenan says, James Cameron said there's a possibility that Avatar 4 will happen, but also said that's up to Disney higher-ups. Do you think there will be an Avatar on 4 and 5 despite 3 underperforming? I mean, it's incredible that we've got a movie that's 1.5 billion, one of the biggest movies of last year. Oh my God, we're a bit underperformed. Didn't do as well as the last ones. I mean, yeah, it wasn't a $2 billion movie. It went down. So therefore, you could state that, well, Avatar 4 could do maybe 1.2 billion. Avatar 5 maybe could do $1 billion. Is that doable? The big key question for me with Avatar 4 and 5 is, how much are they going to cost? That is the big question. If they are too expensive to make, That might be a problem. Is James Cameron wanting to do some other stuff? That might be the other big thing. He is, I think he's in his 70s. He might be in that mindset of thinking, actually, I would like to do some other projects. I've been working on Avatar for best part of like 20 years. I'd like to do something else. I don't want to sign up to do another 5-10 years of Avatar. Maybe that's part of the process. Personally, as someone that loved all 3 of the Avatar films, I would be more than happy to have 4 and 5. But I also feel like 3 was a nice way that they could actually kind of close off the franchise. I don't think they will close it off, but I think the big problem is how much it costs to make. If they are looking at it going, this is too much, then no. Bubba Trolling says, what do you think the first thing that Josh would do when he comes CEO of Disney on Wednesday? I'd probably have a nervous pee. So that would be where I'd start. So I think we're going to see very, very softly, gently. I don't think he might make some big changes. Maybe he'll kind of revert back some of the things that we're seeing in the theme parks, trying to get that feel back for stuff. Maybe bring back some popular things that more entertainment, more investment in the parks. He knows the park side of things. He might give them a bit more scope to spend some money on it. Again, I think there might be some fun new announcements to kind of set off his tone. Maybe some details on the villains area. Maybe a trailer. Again, with annual shareholder meetings, always remember, it's not for you and me. It's meant for shareholders, stock people that are buying stocks. It's not aimed at us. It's not going to be a D23 event. Usually there's something that kind of gets revealed, but sometimes there isn't anything. So, but yeah, I'm expecting a very gently 6 months ahead till Iger's gone, but I also don't think Josh is going to be doing anything major. Mamad says, all 5 seasons of Arrested Development is scheduled to leave Netflix today, March the 15th. When do you think they could arrive on Hulu Disney Plus? Well, it could either happen tomorrow, or they might have to wait until either maybe the 1st of April, or maybe even 30 days. They might have to wait 30 days. So maybe you might see it end of April. So that would be my guess. Miles says, what's your take? Hopper's topping the box office for the 2nd weekend in a row. As I said, that is really good. What do you think this means for Pixar's next original film, Gatto? Again, really good. I think the trouble with Pixar is they have to get their budgets down. These original films are really important and they are vital, and Disney needs them, but they are not box office smash hits. They have to be a little bit more careful with them. Babak says, Paramount is merging BET Plus and HBO Max into Paramount Plus. Do you think Disney will move up its timeline for its Disney Plus Hulu integration? Probably not. I don't think, because first off, HBO Max probably isn't going to be happening till maybe next year. Remember, they still have to close the deal. They have to finalize it. So the HBO Max Paramount thing isn't going to be happening anytime soon. I'm not really sure if BET TV will have a huge impact on Paramount. I think it's a smart move from them. He's got the idea that he needs an app that's at scale. And I think we all know that they need to do this, and Disney needs to do it with their apps. They've got too many at the minute. And I do think this is going to help be like, okay, we need to start like revving up our apps. So let's just go through here. I'm just going to go through some of the live chat, see what we've got going on here. I can see loads of names in here as well, lots of members as well. So big thank you to all of you guys. Taylor said that Hollywood Reporter has just reported that the Firefly animated series is in development. Do you see this being picked up for a series run? Probably yes, because I'll be honest, I haven't read the report yet. I did see it come up on my feed, so I'll be looking into that and doing an article, probably do a video in the week on that as well. I think it will be because it's animated. So with animated shows, there'll be a lot more. It's cheaper, and also they've probably been working on the scripts of this for a long time. Kelly says, it doesn't surprise me that BET Plus is being consolidated into Paramount Plus since Skydance realized that they need variety. I do totally agree with that as well. You also decided to, or NBC Universal decided to end its first run syndication show, citing loss of profits. I think we're probably going to see some of this stuff happening. Disney does have a few shows. I think Taran Hall I don't know if that's exact. I've never seen it. And Live with Kelly. So both of those shows seem to go out on syndication. I can see those shows disappearing and either being replaced with something that Disney can utilize across all of its platforms. I think again we're just in that zone where syndication and all this kind of stuff is not working, and that's why we haven't got some of those shows on Hulu and Disney Plus, because they aren't normal TV shows in the same way we're seeing them. Do they need replacement for them, or could they put on, just general entertainment in that process, put some dramas on or do something else? They are all cutting the budgets back, and I think daytime television is where they're looking at going, where can we save money? What can we do to cut it back? And also, can we make a show which is going to have long-term life, have a bit more of a shelf life? Chat shows and things like that are cheap to make, but they're also, the costs have continued to go up. Thank you, Miles, for the first. You gifted a membership. So if you've become gifted, just let me know if you did. This is the first time that's happened, so I really want to appreciate Miles being really thankful. And if you did get your membership, please just say a thank you to Miles for doing that. That is fantastic. Kelly says, I saw Hoppers yesterday. Really solid film, and it felt different to other Pixar films. Hopefully it's successful enough to get an attraction at Animal Kingdom. You'd hope really that Disney would be a lot more like with like pushing this stuff themselves, of maybe not necessarily getting an attraction, but making sure they've got photo opportunities, meet and greet opportunities, have a little mini parade, you would hope that they would have all that in place and be like, right, we need to promote the heck out of this thing. Just going down here, seeing what we've got. Babak says, what announcements do you think will come at the meeting next week? Will Josh be leading it? I suspect he will be, because he will be becoming the CEO on that day. I suspect Iger will do an announcement, and then Josh will do all the big stuff. Unless, I would imagine Bob's going to have to, is still going to have some kind of sign off or passing the baton to Josh, but Josh will be the one that will need to make the announcements. He's now in charge. He needs to set the tone moving forward. I think this is whether or not I mean, if I was doing the thing, I would be, if I was Josh, I'd be like, well, I need Iger to kind of essentially do the job for me in wrestling terms and kind of put me over. That would be how I would do it. Miles says, do you think the quote about the pilot episodes from Pulp Fiction best sums up the scenario from the Axe Buffy revival? What quote is that one? What quote was that? Babak also says, do you think the Scrubs will get more seasons? Looks like it's doing very well, which is nice. Ricardo says, will you be watching the Oscars? Nope. First off, it happens in the middle of the night. Tomorrow morning when I get up, I will check to see if Disney's won anything, and I will do an article if there is. I will probably watch maybe the highlights. I'm not a big Oscar fan. I am not a very big Oscar fan person at all. I really don't like it very much. I find him very, very bad. Keenan says, what if Josh was a bad CEO and Bob Iger returns as an interim? I think, to be fair, if he is a bad CEO, they need to go and find somebody new. You can't keep defrosting Iger and putting him back in charge, and he can only return, and again, he's going to be getting on a bit. But I think they have a lot more idea of what worked and what didn't work last time. Hi, Knoxway. Thanks for being a member. Babak says, also Avatar movies not only make a ton of money at the box office, they also sell merchandise and have a land at the park. They might try to curb the movie, but make it a bit cheaper. Yeah. I don't think merchandise is as big for Avatar as it could be, but the lands are amazing. Babak says, could Disney create a skinny bundle for live TV where users can get all of the Disney-owned channels? Maybe. That might be something that could work. That definitely could be announced. Kelly says, sometimes Hulu does quietly a re-add series. I remember Full House, Fresh Prince, Dragon Ball left once and came back. Yeah, again, it's going to come down to licensing. BET is pronounced BET. Oh, BET. I'm looking at it. It's just BET. Again, I don't know if BET is even I don't think we even have that over here. Babak says, what does it mean, syndication? I believe the thing is syndication is the ABC networks and a number of channels around the country. They're all owned by different companies, and so they have like a show, and it goes, and this is where all the big shows like Seinfeld and stuff used to make all their money, because they would then sell all those shows to all of the little local networks, and they would all pay for it. Noxo says, I never got the chance to watch the Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but it sucks that Hulu has decided not to move forward, just like Disney cancelled the Lizzie McGuire series back in 2020. Yeah, but again, I feel this same thing with that Lizzie McGuire show. I know a lot of people don't agree with it, but if the creatives and the executives are not on the same page, you gotta cut it. They can't just keep making it in the idea that it will just turn out all right in an edit, because that's the end up with the Marvel problem. If they should have really have, I think with Lizzie McGuire, there was always the problem of what Disney wanted and what the creative and Lizzie and what Hilary Duff wanted were two very different things. Disney were making a Disney Channel show, and the creators were trying to make something for 30-year-olds. Very different base. And I think Buffy, again, I was never really 100% sure how Chloe Zhao was going to work with Buffy, because her shows and the movies that she has made don't feel like a Buffy kind of feel. Here's it interesting. Mark says Mark and Kelly is supposed to be the top TV show on TV. Yeah, that's very much, is it? It very much could be it. Miles says the quote, the show is called a pilot. They then show that one show to the people who pick the shows, and it's strength on that to decide if they want to make more shows. Yeah, that's it. So, and some don't. The trouble is 99% of the people wouldn't even know a pilot existed, because it's only really because it's Buffy that if that was called, I don't know, Fred the Vampire Slayer, no one would really care that it got cancelled. It's only because it's Buffy. Barbatron says, do you think the Discovery Plus will fold into Paramount Plus if they close the Warner Brothers deal? 100%. I think that'll be gone. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue going back into what I'm going to do is make sure I'm just going through all the members' questions at the minute. I'm then going to go through all the pre-done questions and just jump back in with some of the members one. And at the end, we'll then do a full look at some of the questions. As I said, you can become a member, and you can also gift the membership, or that really does make a massive difference. And also you can use the super chat function as well. So Caleb asks, what are your thoughts on the leadership changes within the parks and executives division as Josh is set to take over as CEO? I'm not gonna lie, I didn't have a clue who he was. It was like, okay, this guy's in charge now. Okay, good luck, mate. You're gonna need it. I think the thing is with theme parks is don't cut. And I know that's difficult, but the key thing is the minute you start cutting services, cutting experiences, Disney fans notice, and everyone is being trimmed down. And I think the key thing is keeping the quality, keeping prices around the same. The cost of everything's going up and up and up. People want more value. What they don't want, when you're spending $100 to $150 a day to go into a theme park, you don't want to feel like you're getting a less experience when you're paying more money to go in and getting less. I've been looking at tickets because I'm going to be going to Disney World for a couple of days in May, and yet it's I mean, I was like $150 a day. Whew. Each. It's like, and then you want Fast Pass Plus and all this, and it's like, woof, these are some expensive days. I mean, I've only ever done like one. I think one time I went to Walt Disney World for one day while I was passing through, going down to Central America, and it was just like, yeah, it's just crazy prices. But I think that's the key thing is they've got to just do it. They've just got to do it. Keenan says, what's the possibility that the 4 Malcolm in the Middle revival series gets renewed for very successful? Very much. I very much expect that if it does well, it could return, because I think if they've had fun doing it, I think that's going to be the key thing. But I definitely think it. So let's do a poll. Actually, let's do a poll. So start a poll. Do you think they will renew Malcolm in the Middle for more? Yes and no. There we go. Let me know. Let me know. Mahmoud said, what do you the shareholders meeting will? What do you think we'll get the same awkward questions as the previous meeting? Oh yeah. So this is the always the fun bit with the Q&A on the annual shareholders. And I unfortunately I'm not going to be able to watch it live. I've got prior engagements with some other work. So I'm going to have to catch it a little bit later. But the lovely thing with this one is every time there's a Q&A, some random questions get thrown in. And also they have to do votes on random things that have been inserted into the I keep getting emails about voting for changes, I think, to the disabled system in the at Walt Disney World. So there'll be, and sometimes there is some really wild concepts that Disney kind of say, you need to vote on this, shareholders, please say no. And then unfortunately the person who's put the request in gets like 2 minutes to explain what they're doing. It's a really weird system, but they have to do it legally, and it brings up some very weird questions. Generally, I think the Q&As are they do pre-recorded ones now, where they pick out the ones they want you to try and keep everyone on track, because otherwise you do not want a live mic going to a random member of the public. That's just not a good good thing. Baba says, do you think that Zootopia 2 helps or hurts the first film? I think it helps. I mean, more people watched it. It's a big hit. Definitely think it's good. Miles says, when the Annecy Film Festival takes place in June, or alternatively at D23, could we get casting updates on Hext and Gatto? Yes, and I would say double yes. I would expect we will get a little bit of information at the Annecy Film Festival in France, and then we'll probably get a very big update at D23, probably trailers, teasers, etc. Because this year's D23, they're going to be pushing all the movies that are going to be coming out over the next year to 18 months, 2 years. Keenan says, what do you think Josh D'Amaro is going to make changes to Disney when he becomes CEO? And hopefully he'll be better than Bob Chapek. I think he'll be a lot better than Chapek. I also think he's very much a people's person. I think he understands Disney a little bit differently. He's also, and I really hope this, that he has paid attention to what happened to Chapek and avoids those big changes. He needs to find his feet, and he also needs to not rock the boat. Make changes. There's one thing, like, I'm becoming the new boss and I'm going to make some changes. Well, you've got to do that in a certain way, and doing it slowly and gently is the best way of doing that. Huge thank you to Derek. Thank you so much for your continued support and your super chat. Really appreciate your continued support. So your question is, Paramount has just brought out Tyler Perry's stake in BET, and we'll be merging it into Paramount Plus during their purchase of Warner Brothers. Yeah, so this has come up quite a bit, and I think that this is a good move from Paramount's point of view. I think if you're going to have a strong streaming service to compete with Netflix and Amazon and Disney, etc., you need to get all these streaming services together. This whole idea that all the studios were like trying not to cross over with each other and trying not to cut. They were just trying to have their cake and eat it, and unfortunately, it just doesn't work. There's too many subscriptions, too many different platforms, and I think incorporating BET into Paramount Plus is good for Paramount Plus subscribers. You're probably going to end up with less content coming through the BET system on BET. That is very likely, but we're going to see that anyway. We're going to see a drastic reduction in the amount of content being created, not just by Paramount, but by all of them. They can't afford to keep going the way they've been going. We've seen a drastic slowdown in Disney. Expect Warner Brothers and Paramount to follow suit with their merger as well. But again, thank you so much for that support, Derek. Jumping back into the live chat, see if we've got anything in here. So Suna says, are you ready for the Malcolm in the Middle reboot? I am 100% ready for that one. I'm looking forward to watching it. I always like watching. I haven't watched Malcolm in the Middle since it ended, but I'm looking forward to having a little bit of a revival, seeing where they are, seeing them all grown up, seeing what happens. I enjoyed it when it came out, but yeah, I think that's good. Keenan says we're having a blizzard right now, and it reminds me of the blizzard when I first got back from Walt Disney World back in April 8 years ago. I was really worried then when you said blizzard, because I was thinking Blizzard Beach at Walt Disney World. I'm thinking, I was just looking at the weather this afternoon and it was like 26 degrees, like centigrade. So it was like, I don't know what, 70, 80 Fahrenheit. I was like, hey, what? And they got blizzard. So, yeah, I think there's definitely an issue, but I guess I think you are having another big storm, which hopefully you guys will stay safe with. So hopefully, if you're being impacted, definitely try and make sure you so stay warm and stay in if you need to. Miles says, who do you think will take over Dana Roden's old job as co-chair of Disney, and from when she becomes the president chief? I don't think there is a replacement. I think because she was a co with Alan Bergman, I think he will just have the dual role, and then she'll just be running all of it. I think it was more she got an upgrade. So Matt says, what do you think of the new spin-off series with Stewie? I think this is a fantastic idea. I think this is great. I will do a video on this in the week, but I think this is a fantastic idea. I really do. I think that's a great idea. Kelly says, it was announced that Stewie will get a spin-off from Family Guy. Do you think this is a good idea? I love it. This is exactly what Disney needs to do. I think this is exactly what they need to be focusing on. Family Guy is just running. So why not give Stewie, who I always liked him as the best character, give him something else to do, allow them some scope and some freedom to go off and play a little bit in the sandbox and doing something a little bit different. Final of the pre-done questions, and then we'll be live for the rest of the show. So if you've got any questions, if you are a YouTube channel member, feel free to pop them in the live chat as well. You can also use the super chat function. Those will they will get priority over everyone else. As I said, I'm doing a little bit of a test this week, just to kind of see if we can get more people involved, and also, yeah, just to see if we can get to see how this works. Baba Trolling says, what are your thoughts on the Teamsters Union urging the US government to stop the Paramount acquisition of Warner Brothers Discovery? Will it work? And quick answer, no. It will make no difference. And a couple of reasons for this. First off, I don't think it's a good idea really to have, and I would say this about any business, regardless of whose businesses it was. But I don't think it's right that any companies that want to merge or do any kind of business together should have to get the agreement from every single person that might be involved with them, because nothing is ever going to happen if you did that. If Paramount had to ask permission off of every single department or person that's involved with it, nothing would ever get done. And I think that's from like a business point of view. It's like, at the end of the day, this is an agreement between two companies to come together, because they know that if they don't do something, they are going to get left out in the cold. They have to merge. Paramount needs to get bigger, or it's going to just be a small little fry making little things, licensing things to Netflix, Disney, or Amazon. It has to become bigger to become a bigger threat. And that's the only way you can do it. Now, there are going to be some trade-offs in how much content gets made, which is less jobs. That was going to happen anyway. Whether this merger happens, yes or no, there is going to be less content, because both of them have got debts to pay off. And I just feel like the US government right now doesn't feel like a government that's going to say no, depending on what contracts come through. I think the US government is not going to block this. Just don't think it's going to block it. Okay, so that's all the pre-done questions. Again, big thank you to all YouTube channel members and patrons for your continued support with those questions. So let's just have a look here. Keenan says SpongeBob has had a couple of spin-offs. Yeah, that's very good. Knoxwell says, are you looking forward to watching Daredevil next week when it arrives? Yes, very much so. I am ready for some Marvel. So I'm ready for some superheroes. I we haven't had what? We had Fantastic Four in July, and we haven't really had anything since. So I'm ready for some Marvel. I'm ready for some proper Marvel, because whatever that Wonder Man thing was, that wasn't Marvel. That wasn't the Marvel that I wanted. So for me, yes, I am ready. I am ready for some superhero action, and I've always loved the Netflix Daredevil series. More of that, please. Can't wait. I literally cannot wait. Bubba Trolling says, which is more likely, Josh, to spin off ESPN or ESPN to include a Disney Plus to be included in the Disney Plus subscription? I don't think ESPN is going anywhere. It is too valuable for them from the point of view on many levels. First off, cable business is still bringing in money. They need sports. Second of all, Disney needs sports. Sport is where it brings people together in a unique way. ESPN is a vital brand for doing that. Now, whether or not ESPN ever becomes part of Disney Plus, the big problem with that is Disney is very used to having a lot of money coming in from sports. They like you paying $30 a month for your sports. Now, whether or not they can get that continuously, who knows? To me, it just seems incredible. But sports is very expensive. And I do think that having a sports add-on is a great way of meaning that not everyone has to get it. I do think having an ESPN presence on Disney Plus is good. So when the big companies want to kind of get you into a little bit of sports, but as a we're starting to see it incorporated here in the UK, more and more sports, it is going to put the price up. Is that worthwhile? There's fors and against. I definitely looking at, like, with what's happening with Netflix and Amazon, it's going to happen. So that maybe in the future they will follow suit. But the trouble is, right now, the US market is used to paying for that sports. The big thing's going to be is how much live sports is ESPN still going to have in a few years? What if Apple, Netflix, and Amazon buy a load of rights and Disney lose a load of the live rights? At which point, then they might be forced to downscale. But I don't think ESPN's going anywhere. Basil says, since they have stopped development on the Buffy reboot, do you think they've done it, or could they have planned a separate Desperate Housewives spin-off? Again, I think it depends off the Desperate Housewives how much of a spin-off it was. It had enough times gone by that they could do something a little bit different. Knoxway said that I saw that Wonder Man is now streaming on Hulu for limited time only, just like they did for Echo and Secret Invasion. They do seem to be doing that more and more, but it makes sense because they've kind of had the bulk of the viewing. And let's be honest, Hulu and Disney Plus they're getting close to coming together anyway. I know they're saying we're still going to offer them separately. I would not be at all surprised if when they announce the merger, Josh pulls the trigger on it. And they go, look, we're going to do it. Kelly says, speaking of Daredevil, WWE promoted a show on their IG story with a link up to sign up for the Disney bundle with ESPN. Smart marketing, definitely. And you also saw some crossover with Family Guy and American Dad. How'd I Do is a franchise assigned by Stan and Everett as the Quagmire from Frank from Chicago. I'm not going to lie, I have no idea what any of that is. I'm like, are those? Miles says, could we eventually see a premiere inside of Fortnite? Think Toy Story 5, Hex, Avengers Doomsday, Boiler Point, Gatto. I think they might try and do like a something like that. I don't think you're going to see a premiere of a new film, like a big one. They might do a film premiere with like questions with some of the thing. They might maybe a new episode. I can't quite see. I think they could do a film premiere where they got everyone coming down again. To me, it just seems pointless. The whole concept of what a premiere is, when they're all just walking down the red carpet answering questions to promote the movie. It's a very like Hollywood thing. Does anyone really give a hoot about that anymore? Are youngsters going to tune in on Fortnite to watch someone walk down a red carpet? No, they're not gonna. Barbatron says, how long is the Paramount Warner Brothers be split? People talking about this on Red. They're looking at, I think they want to get it done by the end of the year, but it could take longer. depending on what everyone's going to say. So I'm going to just jump in, make sure I've not missed any questions. So if you've got anything good, pop it in. So let's see what we've got here. Noel is going to finish watching Zootopia 2 on Disney Plus later, so that's good. That's good. That's definitely a good thing to watch. Noel also wants to see the Punisher special release date for May or June. I think it's going to depend on if we need to see it before Spider-Man or if it's set afterwards. Because if it's afterwards, maybe they might put it on there like a few months later. Let's see what else we've got here. Kelly says it's really hard because box office numbers are crap. I'm guessing that's in relation to the Hoppers box office. The box office numbers are all over the place and advertising. They're all over the place. Filton says we'll be getting Disney's House of Mouse. I wish, in all fairness, I wish Disney would put that damn show on there, because I get asked this about 20 times a day by different people. And I wish I could say yes, but we're 6-7 years into the launch of Disney Plus now. We still haven't got it. I don't think it's gonna happen. Maybe Josh is gonna have a different frame of mind for Disney Plus, and maybe he wants to embrace history a bit more. Maybe that happens. There's maybe a better shot with a new CEO coming in with some fresh ideas. Maybe he looks at the archive and goes, "I want to have all of this on there." He might be more tuned in on the Disney fan sphere. Might have an idea and go, "Actually, we want to start investing in it." So I just don't think it wouldn't happen under Iger. Let's see what else we've got here. Deadpool says, "I'm happy Firefly is coming back, but Hulu needs more major IPs." It does, but again, I think you've got to look at it that when you've got Hulu and Disney Plus together, you've got enough franchises between everything they're coming through. And I think you get a lot more franchises that way and some big releases. So I think that definitely, but they definitely need a little bit more. Basil says Hoppers has already outgrossed Elio. That's definitely very good considering it's only two days. Miles, you are right. Let me just see where have I put it in there. If not, pop it in. If you copy and paste it in, I know I've read your question. Let me see if I can find it. Miles, where is it? Oh, here we go. No, that's a different one. That's a different question from you. Yeah, Miles, if you just pop your question in again, I know what I remember seeing your question. I think when I'm copying and pasting them, sometimes obviously when I've got like a list, I might have missed it, but yeah, pop that one in and I'll have a look at that one once you drop that one in. Osman says, "Is Heart Radio Music Festival going to be on Disney Plus?" Probably more. They seem to be more on Hulu. I think some of the live stuff seems to be a little bit different. Okay, that's just random. Roger, D23 will announce a load of different movies. Don't expect it. Yeah, definitely don't expect. If you're expecting that lot, you're going to be very, very, very disappointed. D23 is about talking about what's coming up over the next 18 months, and you're not getting any of that. You're going to get Secret Wars. Suspended for the rest of the week, Jake. What's that? Miles, here we go. So when Josh and Dana start their new roles, do you think they might consider launching 20th century animation? So obviously it's a good TV division. I think it would be nice for them to have a movie side of things. I think that would be a good thing for them to go into. I would definitely do it. As you said, a full-fledged production unit similar to Walt Disney Animation Studios, focus on animated features. And I 100%, I would say yes. I would love to see them do that. And I would like them to do ones that aren't aimed at, as you said, aim them at adults or teenagers. Leave Disney and Pixar's division, leave that. You can maybe do Ice Age, but let them, and Diary of a Wimpy Kid. They've got a few franchises they can kind of go with, but I would be like, let's let them cook with something similar, as you said, with the success of Killer of Killers. Osmond says, "Will Finding Nemo be announced the D23? Nope. Again, you're already looking at the Pixar's already lined up the next 5 years, 4 or 5 years with Incredibles 3, Coco 2. It's too early. Again, don't expect too much from D23. Expect nothing and be happy when you get something. So Suna says, how do you feel about Paramount merger? I mean, for me, I think it's a good thing. I think there's a good I think it's the only way really if Paramount and Warner Brothers together being able to compete is to have that scale and to have that library and to have the franchise. I think it's a good thing from that point of view. I don't think it's so good from the creative's point of view. We're going to get less. Maybe as a consumer, we might get less choice. But alternatively, I think often when people talk about the fact of, well, we're not going to have the choice if there's these two studios come together, it's going to happen anyway because they're not big enough to compete. And now you've got Amazon, Netflix, and Apple have all become the new big studios. They are the ones putting out the stuff that people are watching, and they're pulling away from the traditional networks. No, says, what about Monsters 3? See, there we're more likely going to, because we've been hearing rumors of it. And that I think we might get that as confirmed. And as Killian says, I thought D23 talks about what's going to happen in the next 2 years. Yep, 100%. 100%, that's right. So Suna says, do you think there'll be 15 phases of the MCU? I think there'll be as many as there is, as they do. I mean, we're only, phase 6? So phase 15? I think it's just going to keep going until they stop making money. Let me just roll up here. So since what's going to happen with Paramount, I think they're just going to get everything put together. It's all going to be coming together. Knoxway says, I kind of wish Disney would continue to think about animated movies rather than a live action one, since the last 2 animated films were cancelled back in 2018 since Disney Toon Studios shut down. I get it. I think the trouble is really, I would imagine with the animated movies is there's kind of a scope of they've kind of run that through the mill and that's had its audience and they've kind of drifted off. They must have cancelled those 2 movies because the last ones didn't do so well. So a new live action series will be a rejuvenation of the franchise, rejuvenation of the character, etc. Plus, Disney needs a fantasy family show, and I think Tinkerbell falls into that one. Osborne says, will there be a D23 in 2028? Probably. Keenan thinks that MCU will end with phase 9. Nah. It ain't going anywhere because there's too much money in it. Too much money. Babatroni says, what do you think is going to happen to Peacock? So here's my thing with with Universal. I think the trouble is with Universal is they are so locked in on what linear was that they aren't willing to make the big slice to get people over to streaming. I actually wonder with them they might even go the opposite way. They might have a little streaming service like Peacock, run it until the cable system's dropped off, and then they might go to licensing. I actually think that they are the ones that are likely to. They are living off of people that are. It's like here in the UK, it's Sky /Now TV. They are just running off of what used to be, and people that don't want to change. I have got Now TV, which is essentially Peacock / soon to be HBO Max next week. $2.99 a month for a year. Great price, but when it goes up to $9.99, I'll probably be out. Depends on, but at that point, what's happened with Paramount Plus and HBO anyway. But I just don't think Universal, they have not got the scale, and it feels like they're scaling back. I don't know. I mean, in some ways, they might be better off had they merged with Paramount. I'm just not sure Peacock. I just don't think I think it's never going to go in. It's never going to be a top tier streaming service. I think they're just going to be doing less and less, and I think they're going to end up licensing. Kelly says, I do like that Hoppers had jokes with adults that understand, and I was seeing that made me laugh, and a kid was confused what I was laughing at. Yeah, they're always good when they do that. That's always good when they do that. Just having a look here, see if there's any cool questions that I like the look of. Let's see if we've got anything interesting here. Trammy says, well, what will replace Hulu in 2026? It'll be part of Disney Plus. No, wants an Incredibles 3 release in 2028 as soon as D23. I think you're probably looking at, I mean, they could maybe do 2028, but I don't know when Coco is. Aaliyah, thank you very much for joining in. I've noticed a lot of talk about YouTube overtaking Disney with ad revenue news. So it's a bit dramatic considering all who use YouTube. So I think the thing is with this is, I think this is sometimes a bit of an unfair battle, because we're kind of, in my view, of like comparing apples to oranges. So in terms of like eyeballs, YouTube gets more eyeballs than any of the major studios. True. Okay. YouTube gets more views than the other streaming services. Again, 100% agree. But you can't tell me that you watching me right now is, but the budget for this show is not the highest. I mean, yeah, I subscribe to this software, which I live stream from, so there is a cost. So that's why your YouTube channel memberships and Patreon support really do matter, because it helps pay for all this kind of stuff. It costs money to do these videos. The equipment, the software, that is all on a monthly subscription. That does all cost money. But I think it's a bit unfair to say, okay, that something like Alien Earth or Percy Jackson, a view of that should be considered the same as watching a cat video or someone, eating a dinner, or, I know I get the idea that it's entertainment and it's eyeball on eyeball, but for me, YouTube is a very different entity. User-generated content, such as social media, does take away the eyeballs, but it's in the same way that do they count like Fortnite and video games, and very much it's like they are competitions for, in terms of your attention span. And I get that, but I don't agree with this thing of why YouTube gets counted as a, how many minutes get watched compared to Disney and Warner Brothers on like the Gorge or anything. Like, but do they not put TikTok in there and Facebook? How many hours a week are people watching TikTok? Like, how many people are watching Rumble or Twitch or, I don't know, Spotify video or anything like that? And I think that's, like, for me, a bit of a, like, it doesn't seem like a correct way of comparing it. It's like, we don't compare the viewership of Disney in terms of how many people are watching their DVDs this week. It just, I don't really fully get how you can compare a streaming service which is paid for with content created by a studio compared to a platform where every single one of us in here right now could go off and upload a load of content. We can literally just record us, here I am, just opening a look at, and it's like, we could do all kinds of, and it's like, I don't know, it doesn't really, for me, I don't really get it. I don't really get how you can compare it. As you said, especially when a lot of these views are related to trailers from these companies. Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing. Do they break it down? Does I mean, who knows how much that is, but I just don't I just don't know how you can how they compare the two. It feels like. And again, why is TikTok not on there? Why is Facebook not on there, or Instagram, or X, etc.? Weird, very weird. Babatronic says, "Do you think the Oscars? Why do you think Oscars isn't streaming on Disney Plus? Because I don't think the contract includes Disney Plus. I think it includes Hulu, and that's why they haven't got it. Disney does have the streaming rights. It looks like, I know it's on streaming on, I think, in the Philippines on Disney Plus. Here in the UK, they've licensed it to ITV. Again, these Oscars, they are big within the movie community, but the interest in them globally is less and less each year. Here in the UK, etc., most of us will wake up in the morning and see the news. It's on at something like, it's basically like right through the middle of the night. If you're, I mean, again, I think a lot of this is the Hollywood press and the Hollywood zone of people, the bubble, thinks the Oscars are the biggest, most important thing. And it used to be when Americans had to sit there and watch it because there was nothing else on television. People have got other choices. They got YouTube. They got Fortnite. Here's a good question from Julian. Thank you very much for your question. Will Disney get back to making 100% original content for Disney Plus? Because we didn't have an animated show that was cancelled that tested well. It's called Neon Galaxy, and it's by Lee Knox. No idea. I don't know about that show. Can't remember that one. But I think as far as getting back to original content, you need to look at Disney as a bigger picture. So original content on Disney Plus for me includes Grey's Anatomy, ABC News Live, 2020, The Beauty, Love Story. Then you've got original content coming in there like Zootopia too. All of that is original content created by Disney. It's just the concept of it's exclusive to a streaming service doesn't really fly the same way that it did back 10 years ago. All of that content is originally owned and created. It is original content. And I think we just need to start looking at all of it as a bigger picture, rather than just going, is it part of this particular brand? And I think definitely with Disney Plus that we kind of have that. Okay, so I'll explain this. YouTube is an indirect competitor to Disney Plus, while Netflix is a direct competitor. Heck, even Netflix acknowledging that more folks are watching YouTube. Again, it's no different than you could say how many people are playing Fortnite right now. How many people are playing Call of Duty, Madden. How many people are watching a repeat of a DVD that they've got? How many people are on their phones right now just doom scrolling through TikTok? All of that it's the attention that is lost. So Suna says, will we get Who TV show after PJO? Will we get Who? Okay, I'm going to have to ask what Who is. Peter Jackson and the Olympians, I get that one. The Who show, I'm not sure what that is. Is that another one of the... If it is another one of the Rick Ryan shows, it will probably be after a couple of years after there. Let's see if we've got any other questions here. Miles said, what do you think will be the inaugural host of Saturday Night Live UK when it launches next week on Sky One Peacock? Probably someone I've never heard of. This thing is going to be dead in the water. Absolutely dead. This has got no chance of making it. Sky One does not have the big enough audience anymore to do this. They have tried in the past. First off, it's going to be, if they try and fill it with US-centric comedy to try and get more views on Peacock, it's going to not go down very well. Yes, they're going to make fun of Trump. You can see that coming a mile away. But if it gets too centric on the UK news, the US audience isn't going to be interested. I just do not see this show doing very well. Aaliyah, I'm just trying to see, Aaliyah, where your question was. I think I did answer it, but here we go. So I did do it. Yeah. So this is the thing with me trying this experiment with having it open for all subscribers. Got a lot more posts coming through, so sometimes it's a little bit harder to find it. Seems to have worked today with the way we're doing it. Again, I'm prioritizing YouTube channel members, but if there are other cool questions coming in, I'll pop them in. Again, thank you, Miles, for your gifted membership. That was a nice. That was also great because I wanted to see if it was working, so that really helped me on that. Keely says, I do notice that WABC uploads accurate weather quick forecasts on IG, TikTok, FB. However, I wish they'd upload to YouTube since they support shorts and it'd be much easier to share on WhatsApp. Yeah, that would make sense. Heroes of Olympus. Okay, cool. Well, I would guess it would make sense to do it once Percy Jackson, the 5 seasons are done. That would be my there. Miles says, do you think you're predicting its fate like a crystal ball? I don't think it's so much a crystal ball, just the fact of it's I'm sure they've tried it in the UK before. UK Saturday Night Live. Could this be anything? I just don't think it's gonna be funny. I just don't think it's gonna be it's not gonna be funny. I'm just gonna see if I'm sure we had. Oh no, it was a Big Brother thing. I thought we've had versions of this in the past. I mean, I quite like watching at the moment, like what was it The Last Leg. So there's scope for it, but I think the trouble is with it being on Sky, the audience is so small that I don't think it will make the big news. Will you be surprised? I will be very surprised because I just don't think it will do. I just don't think it will do. Right. So on that note, guys, thank you very much for everyone for joining in live. Thank you to all the YouTube channel members and patrons. Thank you a huge amount to Miles and Derek for your super chats. Really appreciate that. And again, thank you to everyone that's in the live chat. Big thank you to all of you guys. I will be next week. I'm gonna do another experiment the same way we've done it this week, where I'm gonna open it up to everyone so more people can join in. But also, again, keeping you guys that are members and patrons in kind of as the priority. But again, thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day and enjoy Mother's Day. Thank you very much. See you guys soon. Tally ho. Toodaloo.